He has a 1-1 count. That one's struck high. Left side. That one's going. That's out of here off the ropes. You have to be kidding me. Fireworks. Here you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on and welcome all inside High and Tight, the flagship show, part of the IA Baseball Network. As always, hey, thanks for joining in. Like, subscribe, spread the word, and hey, check us out on Rockfin, where you can get a whole lot of good things exclusively for you. All you need to do is sign up, and hey, you have a whole year for a lot of great content, including rankings that you can get ahead of time, both individual and team rankings. So we have that. Not only do we have our team rankings, but individual coming on out here as well. So make sure to tune in for that. You get it first and foremost. So our subscribers get to eat first. So hey, make sure to get on board with that and help support a small business, help support what we're doing and highlighting all the players, coaches, and beyond. Again, I am Andrew Brown alongside Cade Nissen here as we go ahead and give you our High and Tight program brought to you by Victory Mounds. Now, I will say you have to check out what Victory Mounds can do because it can make your field absolutely amazing. If you think it's already amazing, it can take it another level. These guys have it all, from field products and field services tested and trusted by coaches and players alike. So I urge you to check it out today. And in fact, make sure to mention that you heard them on our broadcast, because you could earn a free assessment on the playability of your field or whichever field you're a part of. So make sure to check them out today, from pitching mounds, pitching rubbers, all the way to home plate and more. They've got you covered at victorymounds.com. All right, here, an interesting bout. Here we are. One, I do want to say that we are both, Cade and I, following the Iowa Hawkeyes right now as they continue to roll along into the Big Ten tournament. However you are catching the Hawkeyes, make sure you support them as well. John Leo's on the call for the radio network if you want to catch that up, or, of course, Big Ten Network as well. But I want to say, first off, Cade, ready to roll here for what is going to be a good show.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's crazy that the year is here. If you're seeing all the video content out on our social, I do got to say, we're able to be booked. I mean, we're going to be choosing games we're going to all summer, but if you're a parent or maybe a coach or a booster and like, hey, I want this for my program, and you know, maybe I'm not going to be the one to choose your program, hey, you can book us. It's just another way to support us as we try and grow and make this IA baseball thing sustainable. So I know we got a few people interested in talking about dates, so I appreciate those guys. But yeah, if you're interested in having me out for some video work and putting your program on the map, I'm more than happy to do that. But yeah, what an incredible first week, Andrew. I mean, we got our first set of rankings out, individual rankings coming soon. Baseball season is in full effect, and I mean, before we know it, we're gonna be crowning some state champs.
Yeah, it always goes pretty fast, and again, we from everything, we always try and again highlight everybody here. There's a lot of things across week one to highlight as well, but don't forget to give us your thoughts, everybody. If there's something that, like Cade said, get us out there. Get we do a lot of different things. Of course, there's only so many of us, right? But Cade and I like to go to all these games, and so whatever your taste is for it, to whatever, whether it's photos, videos, game broadcasts, and more, we got you covered. And there's been a lot to cover across week one, and it's been a fun run. I think for the most part, there with 1A, 2A now having a whole lot of action overall, we've kind of had to curtail our enthusiasm just a little bit, but now we're into week two, and there's no curtailing it. Our enthusiasm matches what's going on here, and so a lot to get to. First and foremost here, as we go along, we ask your thoughts. Anything out there, mention, tag us, whatever you think, like, subscribe again. But Kate, I do want to go ahead first off and talk about some teams that really impressed us through week one and even into week two here. Again, we will have our normal show, which will be moved to Mondays. But for right now, we get the chance to kind of loop in part of week two with what was a great week one. But first, we'll go through each class and give at least one team that kind of really stood out to us, and also give a team overall across all classes that we should not panic on. So first off, let's start with teams that have really kind of surprised us, Cade. And I know there's not a whole lot in the 1A, 2A ranks, but if you have you been able, or first off, did any teams really stand out to you in their limited action across 1A?
Yeah, I think 1A, 2A has definitely been the toughest, just because some teams really haven't gotten their feet on the ground and whatnot. But I've loved Wapsie Valley in 1A as I pull up their schedule. I had my 4A team ready to roll for you, but Wapsie Valley in Class 1A just off to like a scorching start. Sorry, they were my team of the week. Wins over Waterloo East, Belle Plaine, and Crestwood. A team that was ranked in the coaches poll, not in our poll. They're now ranked in our poll, and that's the good thing about it, is our rankers get to adjust and kind of throw these teams that we're starting to learn about. So Wapsie Valley is definitely one that I've got in there. You also had Ankeny Christian and Akron Westfield join the ranks. So
Mm-hmm.
we're starting to learn about these 1A teams. Andrew, I'm kind of curious who you're going with here.
Well, you kind of mentioned a little bit here. For me, Akron Westfield's going to be that team that I thought I'm looking at and go, man, they have something going here. They've already started out strong with 38 total bases as a team, which puts them fourth overall in the class. So for me, that's a team that I'm really going to have my eye on a little bit more going forward, and they're going to be battle tested with the conference, with the War Eagle Conference that they reside in, because it's not an easy trek when you have the defending champs and you have other great teams in that mix. So it's going to be fun. Although I will, since you did mention Akron Westfield, I will say I know it's early, but one of the darling Cinderellas from last postseason, GMG, they're sitting here 36 total bases overall. They are getting on base. They're doing it well, batting 300 as a team. The schedule being what it was, that's one thing. But honestly, they've had some good wins. They've won over Baxter, Gladbrook, Rhinebeck 1-0. So they have some big wins over some solid teams. And of course, BGM, South Tama being the losses here, but they've started out pretty strong as well. And again, they were that Cinderella almost last year, and so that's a team to keep an eye on as well.
Hey, as I'm looking around, Andrew, I kind of got one that I was able to kind of come up with too. Grandview Christian, how about them?
Yeah,
We talked a little about them in the preseason. A team that I liked in the preseason. Obviously, our 1A ranker didn't have them thrown in the rankings quite yet, but 4-0, off to a good start. A sweep over Des Moines North, a win over Perry, and a win over Nevada. So some teams in a class above them. They're hitting 345, Andrew. And as a pitching staff, an ERA of 0.52 and a WHIP of 0.74 through
yeah,
27 innings. So obviously, it's going to be interesting. I know they have a kind of a big stretch here coming up. Let's see, they've got Roland Story, Ogden, Beckman Catholic, BGM, and DMG all in the next
yeah.
5-6 games. So a good test for them as they kind of start to enter their conference play. But I mean, so far so good for a Grandview Christian team that's got to be nearing the outside looking in of our rankings. They keep this up, I wouldn't be surprised to see them with a little number by their name soon.
Oh yeah, sure, an honorable mention, Mark, and they've done it all, man. They're perfect on their stolen base count, already 28 on the year so far through just that early slate. That tells you a lot. Grandview Christian, they're on the ranks for sure. And so I do believe that our 1A ranker does have them eyeing in, and certainly maybe we can get him to do some honorable mentions, because that would definitely be an honorable mention team at this point. But moving on to let's go on to Class 2A here as we continue to roll. And you know what, Cade, through that first week, there are a number of teams that stood out to me. I will say I'm going to go out and and go with Beckman Catholic as my kind of a big team that started week one anyway, that kicked that off. It is tough when you are that early in the season and you're going up against a 4A team and a 3A team, and you beat both of those squads. Right around 8 runs per game for this squad. Drew Thayer, and Luke Sigworth. Those are going to be that's a huge double dragon type of combination that everyone's going to have to fear as they go throughout the season. But that schedule just keeps rolling on for them. I think Beckman is going to be so well battle tested by the time we get to the postseason. It's not going to be funny. So I think that honestly, from 2A, I like Beckman. I like some other teams here, but I'll let you get on your team here in 2A.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of go a different route here, Andrew. And if you haven't, all of our rankings are free on YouTube right now. I don't think people saw that. I posted a link to Rockfin on socials just for our subs to see those first in the morning. But all the rankings are free on YouTube. The views are a little bit lower than I maybe thought. I feel like people just don't even know that
Yeah.
they're on there. So if you're watching this and you're like, hey, where my team at? You can go see right now. Andrew and I broke down each class 10 to 15 minutes. Great stuff there. So had to get that little plug in while I could. But I'm going to go a different route here, and I'm going to go with a team that's not even ranked. Since we did talk about most of these teams that are ranked in those videos, so if you want to hear us talk about your team, go ahead and head over to those videos. But I'm going to go with Marquette Catholic, off to a
Ooh.
4 start. I remember when I was in Anamosa talking to their players and coaches, they're like, "Hey, that's a tough team," and they got a horse in Cal Boniface. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Sophomore, he was incredible last year. Off to a good start this year. They've won each game. I mean, I'm guessing they've all been dominant 10-0, 11-0, or 10-0, 11-0, 16-2, 16-3. So they've been
Yep.
piling it on, maybe not against a level of competition equal to them quite yet, but they're going to have some big ones coming up. They've got Cascade and Anamosa, Northland doubleheader, Durant. But I see a lot of really winnable games for Marquette Catholic here. Our 2A ranker doesn't have honorable mentions quite yet either, but I think Marquette Catholic would have to be in there. They're hitting 330 as a team, and kind of like Grandview Christian, a staff ERA of 0.95 through 22 innings, and they've struck out 51 guys in those 22 innings. They're striking out almost two-thirds of actually probably two-thirds of the batters are facing. So Marquette Catholic, go ahead and put a little star by them, a team that we have not talked at all about preseason that probably deserves some love after a really good start.
Yeah, and a heck of a team. And again, there's a thread here, Cade. You're also mentioning teams that have some of the best base running abilities out there. This is a team top of that base running mark there, and I think that's very cool, very interesting. And I will also go with a team that, believe it or not, has. I know it's early conference play, hasn't really dive in yet, but I'll also give a shout out to the team below them on the stolen base count, West Central Valley. Our 2A ranker last year had them in the top 15, and there's always going to be haters out there, right? But now I think everyone should really start to pay attention because this team already have 25 swipe bags on the year, the most wins so far of any West Central Conference team, and this team's off to the races too. 2 games of 14 runs or more, 3 games of 10 plus runs or more too. I think that's something to be so. Yes, I think that 2A is going to be really, really hard, is what I'm trying to get at when we get to ranking again here in the next week. I think our 2A ranker is going to have a whole lot of, I guess, a really tough time. I'm just going to say. Really tough
Yeah,
time.
I got a chance, Andrew, to go down and see West Marshall and Pleasantville, and I went to that because I really want to broaden. Last year, I kind of covered 4A a lot just because that's what's in the area, but this year I'm putting more of an effort to learn more about these classes, and I really liked what I saw out of West Marshall and Pleasantville. Would not be surprised if we see both those teams heading to Carroll. Obviously, Pleasantville just young talent, Bingham and
Yeah.
Kennedy and Jones, and they brought a ton of juice, and then West Marshall. I mean, that's the team that brought back a ton. Desatel, Seegert, There's brothers of them. There's two Desitels, two Seager. I mean, that West Marshall team is going to be really, really good, and they're going to win a lot of games. So do got to give a shout out to those guys. That full recap, it's extended highlights, you should say,
Yep.
should be on YouTube here. I'm going to work on that here after this episode. That's going to be one that you're going to want to watch because those are teams that a lot of people don't know about, but both of them are really good in that Class 2A,
Yeah.
and a Class 2A that's going to be really fun and really hard to kind of sift through as the season goes on.
And hey, one thing I will say, I love Iowa high school baseball fields. I love it because
Oh my
that
god.
left field, that is iconic in every way. That
I had to get a post. I had to post that. I've seen
I,
it before in pictures and videos, and I show up. I'm like, that is incredible. I mean,
you know what?
I'm sure other teams probably don't like it as much as I did as a fan. But wow, what a cool thing there.
Well, one thing that I think they should do is make it like Houston ended up having a little bit of that little bit of a hill out in center field. You know, just start doctoring out, get some spray paint, put it out there, what have you, mark that up, and then have a little home run derby out there because that would be something to play on. So that'd be kind of a little challenge. It'd be something for the fans, obviously, but it's something that would work. I think. But
Absolutely.
anyway, as we roll along here, again, don't forget to chime in your thoughts, more anything that you have for us. Let us know here at iBaseball on wherever. Catch us on social medias. Plus, Kate and I hit us up individually. Again, if you want Kate or I to come out and get some photo work, get some video work. Obviously, like Kate said, check out the extended highlights that he's gotten for and. There's a lot of good stuff, and you'll want that for sure. Also, let's move on to Class 3A here as we take a look at what has been, again, a loaded look. This is the class that is, now we're getting into more games, right? We've had more action through the first week here. Overall, though, man, there's a lot of teams that I went through here on this one, Cade. I will say that I'm gonna give some shout outs, but I do want to go ahead and start with Wahlert Catholic, a team that I'm not trying to toot the old horn here, but I was pretty high on them early on. Our ranker was too, and right now what they're coming up out of the Mississippi Valley Conference is they are now producing 61 total bases, third across all of Class 3A. And this they've done so with one of the fewer marks in terms of strikeouts, not the fewest, but gosh, they are putting up a lot of good things, slugging over 400. So they're making it work, and they're doing it, doing it the right way. And I like everything they have going on. Of course, pitching also pretty solid for that route, but this is a group that, for the most part, aside from Will Specht, Nagelmaker, all those guys that really we've seen before. You don't know a ton of names beyond that unless you're just a fan there, you're around the area. So this is a team that kind of was coming out of the woodwork a little bit, but you know what? They're a top 10 ERA team, top 10 hitting team. This team's going to do well, and I think that Coach Tischer is going to have another good year with them.
Yeah, Andrew, picking one here is tough because 3A is I think is the one that you and I know the most about. I was gonna say Bondurant Farrar because that's a team I was high on preseason, but they're ranked now, so I'm trying to stick with my trend of going with unranked teams. But I
There
I
you
was
go.
really high on Bondurant Farrar. I really liked what they brought back. I'm gonna kind of go to your boat, Andrew, and there's a team you loved in the preseason, and that's Boone and the
That's
Toreadors. I think you knew I was gonna start on that when I started talking about those guys. But you were super high on Boone, and I was kind of like, yeah, I mean, I don't really know, but they've panned out in your favor. I mean, 3-1 start, wiped Hampton Dumont Cow, wiped Norwalk, wiped ADM, who's a really
Yeah.
good one loss to DCG, and DCG just seems like a team on a mission in Class 4A.
Oh
So
yeah.
I can't knock them too much for that. But Boone, I mean, they've got some stars. They're only hitting 283 as a squad, but they're still producing runs. And then they're putting runs up. 17 walks as a team and 30 hits. They're getting on base in many different ways. Their on base clip is 406. So they got some fun young talent and they got some leadership at the top and They got a guy in Archie Bell, a senior, who's 2-0 already, 12 innings, 6 hits, no earned, 18 Ks, and a WHIP of .67. So you always like when the team's got a stud at the top of the rotation. It looks like they have that, and then obviously you got Davies. I mean, that bomb he hit that we posted that video. He seems like one of those
Oh,
young stars that we're gonna have fun covering the next few years. He's already hitting 333 with a bomb and 3 ribby. So Boone, I'm going to go ahead and steal one from your egg basket. I'm going to go with the Toreadors. Although it's tough. There's so many teams that we could talk. I mean, say Dell, our Eagles that we
are
went
you?
out and covered for
Yeah.
practice. Oh my gosh, they've been racking up wins, and just posted that graphic of Adam Mean, and they got Hicks as a nice one too. I mean,
Yep.
there's a lot of teams off to impressive starts in Class 3A, so it's really hard to pick one there.
I will also add with Boone, man, this is a fun team that I love. Of course, you can't go without mentioning the Michigan commit in Dylan England. He's going to be fun, really fun to watch. He had a down year last year, didn't wasn't I believe some injuries, but ultimately he's going to come back strong. But Davies, yeah, I love that you mentioned him. The only negative about what's going on here is he would be committed. I guarantee you, he'd be committed to a college by now if it weren't for the new recruiting rules. And I say that, he is a sophomore this year. Next year, August 1st, the floodgates will open, and I guarantee you D1 teams will be calling because this kid can hit. And this kid he just has a lot about him. Good rotation with the bat, man. I love it. I've talked to some scouts, and they are very high on the potential of where Davies could go. I love the fact that he is a guy that already sophomore seems to have his head screwed on tight, but not too tight, right? He's ready to go. And you mentioned Archie Bell as well. This is a very strong team. I think honestly, one that will go very very far, and I would not be surprised to see them there as well. But I will also. It was hard. You mentioned Cade, and you know me. It's hard. If it's hard, I can't just do one. I will have to give a quick shout out to Benton. Benton community has over week one alone. They've added to this, but week one they averaged over 10.5 runs a game. They had two batters in the top 10 with total bases. Of course, those being Grant Valesky and Caleb Hupke. They have constantly, since the moment that's game one, they have been on top of the 3A scene, and they're putting a lot in there. They're in our honorable mention mark. But I know once they get into conference play and they start getting a lot of those tougher teams under their belts, I'm sure the ranker is gonna vault them in. I can only assume it was hard for them not to get in this time. But shout out to Benton. Of course, as you mentioned, Bondurant, Farrar, and a plethora of others. But yes, Boone definitely takes that. Waller also as well. But
Absolutely. Four might be even tougher, Andrew.
I gotta say, I had notes down here, and I was, honestly, I don't know who to pick. I went with a couple different teams, and honestly, for me, this is tough because now we right off the gate we've seen teams rise. Obviously, Johnson's at the going to be at the top. One of those teams at the top. We mentioned Kennedy as well, and I wanted to try and go a little bit of a different route here with you, Cade. And I wanted to start out with a team that you've been high on and that
Mm.
you have liked from the beginning and 4A, and that's Waukee Northwest. This is a team that almost from the get go started in game one, almost having the hot strikeout rate, and now they have the one thing that was daunting them last year was the offense, right? Their offense didn't quite match, and now what are they doing? They are number one in hits overall, and they have 86 total bases. They're hitting at a clip of 314, and that's adding on to what they're doing with the pitching. I mean, gosh, this team, you get a sub 2 ERA already this early in the season when teams are just kind of getting in the rhythm, then you're already off to the gates really well. This team can sling it, by my account, number one in Class 4A in strikeout. So what can you not like about what this team is doing? Waukee Northwest has maybe had a hiccup year last year. I don't know. but ever since their inception as a program, they have been nothing but stellar on the baseball diamond, and I don't see that stopping here in 2024.
Well, I do like Waukee Northwest. Well, this will work out perfect because my team is Waukee.
Ah,
You take down number one already in Class 4A, and
yep,
you take them out with their stud going. I got to talk about you. I mean, looking at the stats, I mean, it's kind of crazy that game against Ankeny Centennial, Andrew. I don't know if you've even seen this. And when I went back and looked, there were no stats in yet, so I didn't even see this. I'm just seeing
yeah,
this now. They had 10 runs and it was on 2 hits and 10 walks. They had two
yeah,
hits and they scored 10 runs. That's pretty crazy. But no, the pitching has been stellar for them. I mean, that 4 runs against Ankeny Centennial was the most they've given up. They blanked Norwalk and they held Ames to 2 in each of those games, respectively. The pitching staff looks to be good with Waukee, and that's kind of what we talked about on our preseason pitching staffs in Class 4A. I mean, through 28 innings, they got a team staff of ERA of 2 and a WHIP of 1. The offense isn't quite there yet. They're only hitting 185 as a team, but they're still finding ways to win games and winning close ones. They've already had 2 1-run games, both of them against Ames. I mean, they split those. They got some big games coming up. I mean, Ankeny tonight is going to be a ton of fun. You're seeing this on Wednesday or Thursday, whenever you are. But Ankeny tonight is going to tell us a lot about Waukee. They got Dowling soon. They got Waukee Northwest soon. So I mean, I know we're both kind of going CIML squads. So maybe we want to go with another one each for each of us. But Waukee, I mean, you beat number one already in the first few weeks. You deserve to be talked about.
and I guarantee you here, I can't guarantee this. I didn't think Waukee would do it, but I'm short of guaranteeing you that Ankeny Centennial will not give up 9 runs in a single inning ever again. Uh, I know Coach High and company. They are they're probably furious, but of course they move on. They move on to the next game. But with a legendary now Hall of Fame coach, that's not going to happen again. Even in the CIML, this is a team that's going to bounce back for sure. But yeah, I think that's a great pick in Waukee. But as far as a team that's not in the rankings, for me, I'm going to go again with a team that I've also been pretty high on. A team that was a top 10 team from that ended last year, I believe top 6 in terms of batting average, balls in play. A team that can really rack it is leading currently 4A and batting average at 380, and that's Davenport North. This team did go out of state to face Rock Island, and they did play them twice there, but they took a win over Dubuque Hempstead. They're 3-1 overall. A big win over Anamosa as well. That was a 12-10, just absolute offensive frenzy. But this is a team that last year I think offensively was there. Errors defensively hurt them. Pitching at times did hurt them. But honestly, this is a team that you look at where they're at right now has a lot of potential to go for it. And you got Brandon Bowe right now, a sophomore, leading this squad with 11 hits. And then you go to Bryce Pauly, who's a sophomore standout that, again, I guarantee you has gotten plenty of Division One attention. And I will mention that's without Clayton Bolkema being the top dog. He has just 4 hits this year, but that's because he has 6 walks on the season already through their 4 games. Not a lot of people wanting to pitch to him, but you're going to have to at some point. So now when you get that in the mix and some of these other guys that, Cheeseman, who is looking to get back into the mix, he hasn't had too much time at the plate so far, but this is a group that offensively, by other coaches in their own conference, have said this team is one of the better hitting teams in the conference, if not Class 4A. It's just been a little underwhelming postseason wise. So, you know what? Davenport North, they're on my radar for sure. I believe on our 4A rankers radar, this team has the capability of running up the table. So, if they go ahead and match the pitching from what their offense was last year and looking like, I don't see them having much trouble when it comes to the postseason.
Absolutely. I think I'm going to pivot too. I'm going to go with a team that just joined our rankings, but we haven't really talked about much, and that's Linmar. I mean, they're
Limbaugh.
3-2 so far. a split with Prairie and a split with Cedar Falls, both kind of double headers that you might have thought they would have gotten swept in, but they find a way to steal one and get some quality wins. They've already played 3 one-run games so far, and they're the only team to beat Benton in 3A, which we talked about as a really
Yep.
good team down there. And interesting enough, they've already had 13 guys take the baseball and throw some pitches. So they're showing off their pitching depth already, and they're hitting well. I believe 308 as a team, 393 on base percentage. So Linmar, I'm going to roll with them. They've got a few guys leading the way. Caden Harris, Jackson Mishler, and Jackson Kramer all leading the way with 6 hits. We saw them at the Strike Out the Stigma event.
Yep.
Just a really competitive team, really well coached, and they're off to a solid start. And they got a big doubleheader against City High coming up, but until then, they've got 2 with West and 2 with Iowa City West, I should say, and then 2 more with Waterloo West. So, I mean, we could see them vault even higher before that big doubleheader at Iowa City High.
Yeah. And plus with that, they've got some big guys coming up, and I just got to give them a shout out too. Some of the guys, Bridget Schmidt, and of course Sarsfield. Those are all last names. Bridget Schmidt and Sarsfield, I believe. Also, I think it's Dylan Mozinski. I'm so sorry if I butchered that. I'm really not. But this has been a team that has been quoted as having legitimate 3 D1 prospects on that roster and more. And this, I think that if Linmar was thinking, man, when is our year? This could be it for them. This could not just be the only year, but this could be the start of what is a long stretch of their year, right? So I think that they could easily go through it and have a good campaign. Linmar's a good pick. I like that.
Absolutely. Hey, what do you think, Andrew? We've had some teams that obviously have rose in our rankings.
Yeah.
Give me one team that's taken a little fall that you're not worried about. You're saying, hey, I mean, this team's still who we thought they were preseason. Who's your one?
All right, for me, my one on this, and I know people are going to dog on me. I know that it happens all the time, right? But I absolutely love still ADM. I know that right now they're looking pretty rough, right? I know that right now they are not doing too hot. Of course, in the win total right now, obviously just having a couple wins, but this is a program that honestly is a top 5 strength of schedule in Class 3A. And who have they gone up against? Right off the bat, that has caused that. I mean, they've 2 at Milwaukee Northwest. We already mentioned how big they are. Dowling Catholic, Southeast Polk. They won against Van Meter and Sadell. Of course, like we mentioned, losing against Boone. But the schedule coming up for them also includes, we mentioned DCG, Harlan, Pella, North Polk, Ballard. And then you go through the rest of your conference slate. Honestly, this is a program that is gonna face a lot of challenges. Now, I will remind you that they didn't have a whole lot of hype, 5, 6, 7 years ago, or even the last 3 or 4 years ago. But they made it back-to-back state tournament appearances with sub 500 records. So right now, I think this is a team in kind of a different sphere because of the fact that they've been able to make state tournaments. They've been able to make runs as both an above 500 team and below 500 program. So I think that, and this is with the double grants, the Jensen and Riknovsky. This is a group that I think is going to find their stride, but they haven't had this tough of a schedule in recent history. And so now they're going up against these programs that are hitting their stride. Southeast Polk still hitting their stride. Walkie Northwest, as we mentioned. And of course, DCG. So I am not going to sit there and sound the alarm, even though they only have a couple wins through this slate of the season. I think Coach Book is going to get them rolling around here again. They're going to come up strong, and they're going to find their heart of their schedule. They're going to get a lot of wins. And even if they don't, I'm here to say that this is still one of the most dangerous teams, whatever their record in the postseason. So, I mean, Kate, honestly, the Raccoon River you can mention any one of those teams, because shout out to Winterset for doing what ADM did to a couple teams the 2 years prior. beating them in the first round of the postseason, and then going from there. So again, ADM, you don't need to sound the alarm right now.
I like that. I totally agree. I'm gonna go down to 1A for mine, and I'm gonna go with Coon Rapids Baird. Rough start already. I mean, 1-3. No one's blind to that. But I will say, Andrew, each of the games they've lost, they've had leads late. I mean, Logan Magnolia, they lose 4-3. They gave up 4 in the top of the seventh.
Yeah.
Yankee Christian, they lose that one 4-0. They gave up 3 in the sixth. That was obviously when they ran into a buzzsaw on Eli Christensen and 18 strikeouts.
Oh my
I
God.
will say Cal Hayden struck out 14 guys in 5 innings in that game, so he's a guy to look out for. And even that Ogden game, they lose that one 3-8. They give up
Yeah.
7 runs in the sixth and seventh inning combined. So I mean, Coon Rapids Baird 1-3, but they've led in each of these games, and I'm not panicking on them because they're hitting. I mean, the bats are not quite there yet. They're only hitting 211, but they've got a 1-2 punch in Colby Culbertson and Cal Hayden. Their staff ERA is just 2.24. Half of the runs they've given up have been unearned. So they just got to figure some things out in the field, figure out who the guys are that they need to come in late and get outs, and the bats are gonna supply themselves. But I'm not panicking on Coon Rapids Baird because I think they're a lot better than their 1-3 record is saying.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be a lot of surprise by some people, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a surprise. And by the way, who do you think out there? What's your take? Who should who should we have our eyes on more? Who are you not panicking on? And who should we have our eyes on more for maybe some ranking here? Maybe we should get what are some teams that should be in there that aren't? Let us know in the comments below. Would love to talk with you, chat with you, and hey, maybe get you on. Of course, we love all fan involvement in any way, shape, or form. So let us know there. As we do go along, don't forget as well, you can catch this show plus our rankings reveal. You can catch them all on Rockfin and, of course, on YouTube. Give us your thoughts, comments, hopefully a thumbs up. Hopefully you like all this great stuff as well. Don't forget, like Cade and I had mentioned, if you want us out there for whatever, photos, video, game broadcasts, we'd love to go ahead and hit up your school. And we'd love to do all kinds of things here for you. Again, just 2 of us, but we're going to try and get as many places as we can. And it's certainly all fun, and hopefully you enjoy it along the ride with us. But with that here, Cade, I want to start wrapping up here with some individuals the individuals you may be looking at. Now, a lot of there's certainly 1A, 2A a little bit tough at this juncture. If there are, great. But I'm just going to open up to all classes, some guys that may be on the radar here. And I think that it's kind of tough, but was there anybody that at least stood out to you the most as we look through what has been even week 1.5? Let's go with that.
Yeah, I gotta see Tucker Long in person against Valley.
Yeah.
He didn't throw. I mean, his pitching stats are obviously going to be there. I mean, he's already thrown 7 innings, struck out 15 guys, and only given up 1 earned. But in the box, he's on pace for some crazy stuff. Andrew, he
Yeah.
started in 3 games and he's only registered 6 at bats because he's been walked 7 times.
Sheesh.
He's 4 for 6 in his at bats at the plate. So you do that math. He is hitting 667 and he's getting on base at an 846 clip. 84% of the time Long comes up to the plate, he is getting on base somehow, which I think is absolutely incredible. Obviously, I'm not sure that pace will maintain itself, but he's been seeing the ball well. And the game that I was at where I watched him, I mean, his at bats were long. He was fighting off tough pitches, and I mean, 7 walks. It's hard to see the story behind 7 walks. I mean,
Yeah.
the guys get walked like that. They're pitching around you for a reason, and that shows me he's not chasing. He's not settling for bad pitches. He's taking his walks, and I'm sure he's probably a little frustrated because he'd rather put the bat on the ball a lot more because he can do a lot with it. But Tucker Long, the sophomore from Ottumwa, again, getting on base at a insane clip to start the year.
Yeah, and truly, he is a guy that again has garnered a lot of attention and the club scene as well. I believe Team USA he's been on as well. So this is a real gem, And one of the reasons why I love high school baseball, we get the chance to see him again outside, and coaches get that opportunity as well. But man, I love it, and I know that right now there's still week 2 going on. I know that we'll get to some more underclass looks here, but I'm gonna stick in 4A as well here with you, and I'm gonna go with the guy who last year was an honorable mention, and I guarantee you is not going to be a conference honorable mention. He is going to be an all-stater, at least if he keeps up the pace he's doing right now. And that is the one and only Keaton Fenn out of DCG. I mean, this guy alone had 15 strikeouts in the opening season game against Ballard that we got the chance to catch, and you can catch all 15 on YouTube. But just head on out there and catch that game. Uh, he was phenomenal then. I will say, pitching wise, leads 4A at 21 already through just 2 starts. 21 through 2 starts, 15 in one game. But get this, he's only allowed 3 hits. He's only allowed 3 hits, and those 3 hits, by our estimation, came in that first game. So that first game, and then of course he's walked nobody. He's given up no earned runs, and against the Raccoon River Conference late week 1, which was tough enough to begin with. Again, just 10 innings pitched. And then on the other end of that, what is he doing? He's calling himself the Swiss Army knife, because he leads with 11 RBIs. That leads 4A right now. He's done so off of 8 hits, but he's had 2 blasts. And that's part of a DCG team that has been, like you said, on a mission. And they were ready to get back to the state tournament. And, man, they're starting off real well. So Keaton Fenn is another guy. He's a player to look out for. And, again, not only him, but mentioned Tucker Long as well. 2 guys that I think are on the map already, and it's going to be a fun year. So let's buckle up.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I got to take an obvious one. We got to talk about Grant Mather too. I mean, the home run
Oh,
leader. We're
yeah,
setting up. We're setting up for a pretty impressive home run race between him and Tate Gray, and someone else is going to come out of nowhere and start
yeah,
charging that up. But I mean, I think Harris led it with 11 last year, I believe. I want to say 11 led the entire. Actually, you know what? I got it pulled up. I'm gonna find that out as I talk here. But let's see, batting. Yeah, or Sam Harris led it with 13. 13. We only had 2 guys in the entire state of Iowa with 2 double-digit home runs, and we've already got 5 and 4 in a week and a half. So, I mean, it shows that the quality of hitters are improving. I mean, it's harder to get guys out, especially at those higher levels. And Mather,
yeah,
he's already gone over his home run total from last year. He hit 4 last year. He's already got 5 in a week and a half. And I feel like, at least I always thought of him as kind of a elite pitcher, and now he's hitting well. I mean, he hit 342 last year. He's hitting over 500 right now, and kind of like DCG, you could talk about any Kennedy Cougar because they're just scorching hot right now, and as well as DCG. I mean, there's so many guys on both those teams that are just producing at an insanely high level.
yeah. And you're getting a lot of college commits here as well. You mentioned, yeah, this is a Kennedy squad. I think it's. I would. I want to see them go as far as possible. Now, again, I'm not cheering for anybody necessarily, but I love what the energy that this team brings. It's really exciting to watch, and I think that it was just they fell short last year. Cedar Rapids, Prairie did too, but this is a squad that I loved. I love the story of we didn't make it last year. We're on a vengeance tour, and we're gonna run through. And it's always fun to see, because when they're going to get tripped up, but what happens then? How do they come back? And this is a team that I think will come back real hard if they get tripped up. At this point, I don't know if anybody is going to be able to trip them up very much. So that was also a really good pick as well. I love them, and I also give a shout out. I also want to talk about a couple guys, or just one guy. I'll say, you and I got the chance to talk with him, see him. He's from the Fly High Saydale Eagles right now, man. Jace Embry, who, you know what, he's kind of the cool hand Luke, the guy that honestly has, he does more with his actions than his words, and his actions are speaking pretty heavily right now. 12 total bases, 312 right now. He's on that mark. I believe a couple home runs from a
Yeah.
program, if I'm not mistaken, didn't have a ton of home runs last year. And they're already off to some pretty good races. I will say that the majority of this team prefers the left porch and trying to hit that sign, if not all the trees there. So I can't wait to get over to a game there and catch it as well, because Sadell is a fun team. And again, Jay Sembry, someone to watch out for. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap up things here, don't forget, uh, again, catch our team rankings, which you can catch on Rockfin, of course, on YouTube as well. Check them out on YouTube. Kate and I do a great job of diving into the explanations behind them and what our rankers were thinking and where they are. Plus, you can catch many other great video content. Cade's got a whole lot of great video for you, some great photos, and of course, you can catch our game broadcasts on there as well. And also, don't forget, coming on up, we're pending after the weather right now, but the Tim Hagen Classic scheduled in Ankeny. We're set to go there. We're going to get at least maybe 3, maybe 4 games in, and a good chance for you to catch that. And maybe if you're way out of town, you get to catch some of those teams as well. So if your team's headed there, we will definitely catch that. I know Davenport North is headed there, but there's that. Plus, again, make sure to reach out to us and get Cade down there, because we've already seen what great work, Cade, you've done. And I know that you are looking, like you said, to expand on a lot of teams. We're trying to expand the state. So we don't care who you are, where you are. There's hotels if we need to stay. There's a lot of great places out there, and we're trying to hit all of Iowa. So get us out there. We'd love to go ahead. I know that Nevada and Sadell did, and we're glad that they did, because we had a great time there. So make sure to check them out. So with that, Kate, unless there is anything else here, again, we got some games coming up here. Thursday, broadcast in Boone. And then we're doing some action here on Friday as well. So there's that. And then, again, not only that, but go Hawks.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't checked the score yet, what the
Still
updated
2-2.
one is.
2-2.
Oh, it's still 2-2. Great. At least we're
Yep.
tied. But,
Yep. Let's hope the rain stays away now.
oh, man, you know what? I like the rain, Cade, but I'm going to say we should rain on Sundays primarily. Sundays and Wednesdays. Let's go ahead and
You can
rain those.
rain. You can rain then.
Yep, that's it. All right, good Lord, Duke, make it happen. But without further ado, let's go ahead and wrap it up here. Again, give us your comments, thoughts, and more below. Broadcast brought to you by Victory Mounts, so check them out today. All right, we're going to wrap things up and say sayonara for myself, Andrew Brown, and Cade Nissen. We'll see you next time. Stay safe on the base paths.